Welcome to the Utu Na Uzalendo podcast. My name is Mwalimu Akiama, the founder of Mzalendo Halisi Foundation. At Mzalendo Halisi Foundation, we amplify ordinary Kenyans doing extraordinary things. On this episode, we feature Madina Wa Chege. Many of you know her on Facebook as the chairman. Please tune in and listen to her story. Karibuni. So hi Madina.
Hi Mutemi.
Karibu sana to the Utu Na Uzalendo podcast.
Asante.
Thank you for honoring our invite.
Thank you for inviting me.
Travel all the way from Wingi.
Yes.
Utu Na Uzalendo podcast is about showcasing Kenya's leaders, alternative leaders, people who do what they do, not for money, but for the love of community, patriotism to the people. And most of them are my friends. So I just want to highlight that despite the recent despotism that Kenyans are feeling around our political leadership, that there are alternatives. And not necessarily, you don't need politics to be a leader, that there are other spaces where leadership is manifest. And I think you're one of those people who can be considered a leader. I don't know that you consider yourself one, but I see you as a leader. And please introduce yourself. Who's Madina? Umetoka wapi? Ulisomea wapi?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Madina Chege. My real names, I know most people use pseudos, so unapata kama the recent guy who was catfished, I was using a pseudo. So those are my real names. The guy who was recently found using fake names. Oh, okay. Remember?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So those are I go by my real names, Madina.
You don't
Chege.
have a middle name like
Sarah
or Jiro
no.
Goi?
No, I don't.
Nafula.
No. Yeah. Actually, I inherited those names from my grandmother.
Madina Chege.
Yeah, Sarah Madina. Yeah, so my mother is Rendile. My dad is Kikuyu. So, and my mom's mom is Somali. So, Sarah Madina is her name. So, I got to inherit her names. Sarah Madina. And Chege is my surname. Wow. So, I don't have 10. Yes.
Hey, that's a curious combination. Rendile, Kikuyu.
Yes.
So ulizaliwa wapi and how did you end up having such a heritage?
So my parents, my mom comes from Marsabit. She's Rendile, Somali. My dad is from Murang'a. So basically I was raised in Nairobi in my early years. And later we moved to Murang'a. Yeah, for my later secondary school, upper primary school. Yes. And for my tertiary, I went to Uganda for my clinical medicine. Yeah, Fort Portal School of Clinical Officers. That's in Western Uganda. Then I came to specialize later in Nairobi. I've done reproductive health, which basically is obstetrics and gynecology. Yes.
So specifically to ladies?
Yeah, not ladies, but men have issues. Hospitali.
Yes. Reproductive health
for both male and female.
So when you talked about gynecology, gyna basically is for specific to women.
It's for both.
It's for both.
Yes.
In what way? How do
even men have those issues? Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Like issues like infertility. Yeah, you still see men issues like erectile dysfunction, anything to do with the reproductive system. We also deal with those, but majorly most are men.
Do you treat men?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. And I'm asking that I've seen you give advice on your Facebook platform.
Yes,
but we'll come to that. So tell me about your family. It's very interesting. So Rendile, Kikuyu, Somali.
Yes.
How is that? Are you Muslim, first of all?
Yes, I am. So my mom has a Muslim background. My dad has a Catholic background. So my mom is the one who's her dad is Rendile and her mother is Somali. Then also hii upande ingine pia kuna maneno because my paternal grandfather is also Amharic and my
Amharic.
yes and now the mother my paternal grandmother ndio alikuwa is Kikuyu. So that's why I call myself a
Hiyo
Kenyan.
ni mchanganyiko.
Mchanganyiko
So what do you
maalum.
cause? Yeah,
I call myself a Kenyan.
you know.
Yes. So mainly that's why I will avoid issues of tribalism because if I'm to stand with Kikuyus, where does that leave the rest of my heritage? Yes.
And I think many Kenyans today, I mean, I'm 50, this is my 50th year. And my heritage, especially, it's quite mixed. You know, we had my great-grandmother who was on my dad's side, who was Kamba. My grandmother on my mom's side was was Giriama, came from Karoleni with the missionaries to central Kenya, then met my grandfather and they got married. So it's interesting that someone born in the early 70s, there's also mixed ethnicity. Yet whenever I go and get a government form, it allows me to feel that I'm one tribe.
Yes.
There is no consideration for
at all.
How do you handle that?
It's a problem, and especially with counties. I think we devolved also tribalism because, like for us, even when they are doing head counts in the counties, you'll always find that they'll always require you to fill in your tribe. And I find it's kind of absurd.
So what do you say when they ask you what your tribe is?
Saying that we're African and we mostly rely on the paternal side. I just write Kikuyu.
Other.
Yes.
And then you have to answer a reason why you're saying other.
No, I don't even write. I just write Kikuyu to make things easy.
Part of, I think, one of the things you need to figure out how to. There's a friend of mine who calls it build a nation. How to build a nation, because then a nation has shared values, shared norms, do's and don'ts, shared aspirations and dreams. And if you use that definition, then you would say Kenya is a multi-nation country. If you consider each of our ethnicities a nation. But we've been unable to build a nation called Kenya. I don't know what you feel about that. How, like, do Somali boys and girls have shared dreams with Kikuyu boys and girls, as Kenyans?
Yes, they do. Actually, we all do. We have shared dreams, mainly we want the best education for our kids. We want clean waters for our homesteads. We want jobs for our kids once they're finished with schooling. Yeah, and we want safe spaces, we want affordable housing, all that. And those are our shared dreams as a nation. The only problem comes in, and it starts back in our history, whereby the founders of this country tried to divide this country into tribe, and that was for their own benefit. Yeah, there's a quote by Walter Rudney, I can't remember it clearly, but there's a point he said, tribe is used by politicians for their own benefits and not for the benefit of the people. But there are these politicians wear it like a badge of honor, not because they have any allegiance to the tribe, but because they know that is their fallback plan. You see, somebody like Guru recently, in the before this election, the other election, his main point was he went back to his tribe, fall back to his tribe. Why was that? That was because he didn't have any manifesto, anything to show for the last the years he was in office, and the easiest way out was fall back to his tribe. And mainly our elections are now a tribal census. Yeah, these politicians sit down and just divide the tribes into a pie chart, and they see how they can conquer this tribe to be. So it's mainly for the benefits of and it's going to be hard to try and change this perception that having your tribesman in power does not help you in any way. But I'm sure by now Kenyans are seeing that having
of
a
course, because of the
tribesman,
current regime.
yes, they are saying that having their tribesman in power does not change anything.
Were you conscious of your ethnicity when you're growing up, when you're a kid?
I think that has also helped me in some way because my parents have never really raised us tribally, and I've been able to interact with both relatives from both sides. Yeah. So, and growing up, my parents have never shown me that my tribe is superior.
What about the community? Did they accept you?
Community, we had issues, by the way. Growing up, there are issues. Despite our father being Kikuyu, like you'd find they still discriminate us because our mother was Somali, Indile. Like they'd see us as foreigners. And even them, I think we didn't even suffer much as kids the way my mother suffered because for her to fit in was really hard. One thing, she didn't even understand the language. Yeah. And the
How do they meet? How do they how are they dating? Using which language? Swahili, English? Or
Swahili. Yeah, mostly we speak Swahili at home. Yeah. So being in rural Muranga huko ndani, so it was very hard to actually, for my mom, even the language. Na ni zile enzi za kitambo, like Kiswahili was even foreign huko Ushago ndani. Yeah, so for her to fit in was actually a problem. And later she was persistent, but then she really tried. Yeah, she really tried, and despite all odds, I fit in at some point. But at the beginning, even for us, you'd see there was some friction. And no, culturally, like her culture is so different from the Kikuyu culture. Yeah. So that was a problem for her, but she overcame it. And also believe that whatever differences we have, culturally, we're not the same. But there's a middle point where we can meet. Yes.
Because I'm asking that because I know, I mean, being Kikuyu, having that aspect of Kikuyu, is that there's a superiority complex among Kikuyus.
Yes.
Someone who joked that a drunk in Muranga or Kirinyaga, who cannot even feed his family, thinks he's superior to someone like Raila Odinga because he's circumcised and they are not. You know, and there's that cultural arrogance that Kikuyus have towards other ethnicities. And I can imagine when then it's a Somali, and especially against Somalis, Rendile Somali, then I can imagine that how problematic that can be in the village.
Yeah, it was. It was like they see you as a, and some of them have not even traveled outside that village, but they have that hiyo kasumba that their tribe is better and more superior than other tribes. So it was an issue, and it's still an issue. And also blame Uhuru's regime because they reinforced that hiyo kasumba ya kufanya Wakikuyu superior. Because if you could listen to Kameme FM, there was very bad vitriol during the second election of Uhuru Kenyatta against other tribes, specifically the Luos. And that is something that is going to take some time to get rid of. It's very easy to separate people on tribal grounds, but bringing them together again is quite a task. Yes.
I know this again leads to our conversations in terms of what we want for our kids. What the fact that, for example, maybe these conversations around ethnicity and nation building were had way in the 60s. So ideally, our generation was supposed to grow up without thinking tribal. And then we grow up, and then we are shepherded into that space. And we are seeing that also with our kids. They grow up now. Like if you talk about your daughter, who's 8 to 10 years old, what ethnicity will she claim? I have daughters who their mothers are different mixtures. I'm a mixture. They are different mixtures. And these kids cannot even be placed tribally. Why do you think we maintain our government and our politicians continue pushing that tribal element, tribal narrative?
Yeah. It's actually very unfortunate, that we fall to that bait of having been separated tribally. Because, like, for my daughter, I always tell her she's a Kenyan. Yeah, because sometimes, for CBC, there are a lot of cultural assignments they get to do. So, like, she comes and tells me, Mom, tumeambiwa, you need to do a cultural dance, you need to do this. No. Unashindwa atafanya gani, awache gani. Yeah. So it's an issue, and I think this is something we need to get over. Yeah. We need to maintain our culture in some aspects because we still need our culture as Africans, because there are some elements in our culture which are very good. Look at herbal treatments, cultural events, wedding, rurashioizo, we still need them. But to use tribe against other people or to make other people feel inferior, that one should not happen. Because, like, in our country, we don't use it like to enhance our culture or anything like that. We use tribe to make other tribes feel inferior and to ensure that certain people stay in power, which will not be the case. Yes.
The divide and rule that,
Yes.
that came from the Mzungu.
Yes. So the Mzungus went, but they left black colonialists who are even worse.
Ebu explain that. What do you mean by black colonialists?
Because the people inherited power. They just continue whatever the white man was doing, they plunder. It's only that they have a different skin color, but nothing changed. Yeah, it's even actually worse because now we have a class of elites, and we still have Africans who are in the lower level, working as slaves to this elite group. So the colonialism never left. It's only the color that changed. We still have black colonialists. Yes.
And we'll come back to that because I think that's the essence of our conversation. So let me ask, so you have your Rendile Somali ethnicity. Was your dad Christian or Muslim?
He's Catholic.
Catholic?
Yes,
and then
even
your
now.
mom is Muslim.
Yes.
How does that dynamic work?
Actually, that is quite a challenge to other people. But for us, the way we were raised, like my father remained Catholic and my mother remained Muslim. So, like, growing up, we went to madrasa, the Muslim classes, catechism, and we went for the mafundisho.
Wow.
We went for mafundisho. So, like, for me, if I went for a Catholic mass right now, I know everything that should be done in the mass. And along the way, you get to choose whatever way you think.
So it's up to you to choose.
It's up to me to choose, not my parents. And even my dad, being a Catholic, he was really supportive in my choice. Because after high school, that's when I chose to become Muslim. Because I'd seen both religions and I preferred this side. But my father, even up to now, is very supportive. So sisi kwetu Idi ni sherehe, Christmas ni sherehe.
And the thing is, you have a twin sister.
Yes, I do.
Identical twin sister.
Yes. Fratano, actually.
It's fratano.
Tunafanana.
It's fratano. Mnafanana lakini sio
It's
sana.
fratano.
Mnafanana. But she's Christian.
Yes, she is.
So how do you
She is.
how do you share that?
We do because we
Are
whatever
you
we
close?
Yes.
You're close?
Yes, very close. In fact, I call her my better half because she's been there all through in all the
Literally.
Yes, like she's been there. Like we school together, and even now, even when she's out of the country, she's still in my business. I'm in her business. We raised our kids together. Yeah. So what we have is greater than religion, and as long as you respect the boundaries of the other person, there is no problem actually.
So this thing that tumeona lately kwa mikutano sasa tunaambia Wakristo waombe kufungua, Waislamu waombe. You guys, that's natural. And
It is.
It's there in the family.
It is there in the family. Like tumezoea. And even if a Hindu came, atafit in.
Atafit into. And why do you cover your... I remember asking you that and you said it's not because of religion, it's just a matter of choice. There you wear the
hijab.
The hijab, yeah.
Yes.
What is it? What is
the
it?
choice is the religion. It's actually Muslim. Just for modesty.
To cover your hair.
Yes.
And your daughter is Muslim now because I've seen also her wearing
the hijab.
The hijab.
Yes, she is. But along the way, if she thinks she wants to divert to any other religion, or that's okay by me.
But parents are always pushing their kids to adopt their religion. Why?
I cannot. I think that's a very personal decision. Just like a career. Most parents push their kids to certain careers. And a career is where you spend most of your time in. So you push this kid to a career they don't want, you mess their life. Same as religion. You push this kid where they don't feel comfortable. You're messing them up. Yes.
And you work for, in the health sector.
Yes, I do.
You work for the county government of Makueni. Of Kitui, sorry, in Mwingi Hospital. How is that? How is that experience? And especially in the reproductive health space.
Okay. It's quite fulfilling, I'd say, because that is something I've always wanted to do. Actually, I started with IT before. Yeah, because it was quite hard getting. I wanted to do medicine first, but I got parallel, which was quite expensive. And me and my siblings are quite the same age almost. So Napata, we were in college at the same time. So that was quite a strain to my parents. So that's when I did clinical medicine. But before the clinical medicine, I did IT. And but my passion was in medicine. So that is something I really wanted to do. So I left IT, went back to medicine. So this is something I enjoy doing. And especially reproductive health. Before specializing, I worked in some health center, Okondani. And we were quite incapacitated, especially
Where was this?
In delivery. That's Mwingi.
Oh, in Mwingi.
Yes, Nguni, a place called Nguni. So we were quite incapacitated because we didn't have the facilities, and even for resuscitation. And you'd find that we'd lose babies during delivery. We got quite a number of stillbirths. And every time we got a stillbirth, it actually disturbed me very much. And I really thought how we would end these stillbirths. So personally, I decided to do reproductive health to ensure safe deliveries for these mothers. And so far, I think I've done more than enough, and I hope to continue.
What are you doing
right now?
Towards that, yeah.
Towards reducing the stillbirths. Maternal care. Yeah. Quality maternal care to mothers. And especially like where I am, we look after the high-risk mothers with conditions, to ensure that they deliver good, healthy babies, and also the mothers don't die. Because even maternal mortality is also a very big issue in this country. Yeah. So, and personally, I lost my firstborn.
No problem.
Yeah, I had a miscarriage. And even that one also influenced me to do reproductive health. So I really wanted to save these babies. And so far, we're doing well. And now in Kitui the Kitui County government is trying. I can say it's trying because the newborn units are there, and there have been quite some trainings on emergency obstetrics to try and teach the health workers how to recognize this mother with issues and how to guide them correctly so that they give birth safely to live babies. Yes.
So you guys do outreach? You go to where the people are, or they all come to the hospital?
Where I'm at right now, they come to the hospital, but we have also programs for outreach where we go and train them. Like for me personally, I'm a trainer. So we go and train health workers on emergency obstetric care for the mothers and how they should, for example, a mother with hypertension, that is a mother who's likely to lose that kid and can even lose her life in the process. So how do you take care of this mother at the dispensary, at the health center? Because referral is not the solution. Because even for the infrastructure, Kitui is quite vast.
It's huge.
It's very huge. Very huge county. Unapata Saikuru, a part of the Raka is also part of Kitui. So mama, before toke huko, they come to Kitui, county referral or Mwingi. Sub-district hospital, district hospital, it takes quite some time. This mother will have lost the kid or lost her life. So what we need is to empower the health workers on the ground to know how to deal with these mothers. Even if they're referring these mothers, you should refer them when they're stable. Yes.
And most of the transport is actually motorbikes. Huh?
Yes, it is. It is expensive, and it is not even feasible because even the economic capability of our people is not that good.
So, and it's good that you've given us that background because I want to contrast that with the chairman. So, it's Madina, health worker, very very knowledgeable in your field, and then there's the other Madina,
Yes.
who Kenya has called chairman,
Yes.
especially on Facebook. Who's chairman? And where did that name come from?
Yeah. I think that name came from there was this rise of I'd say feminists, whereby it became like they were trying to neutralize patriarchy, but in the process of neutralizing this patriarchy, they went overboard, and now they made men enemies. Like now, women and men are enemies. Like it was a war of the genders. So looking at that, you'd find some people post very, senseless things, just to talk about feminism, and it was not helping at all. So that's why I came in, and I was trying to neutralize that bile, and that's how that name came from.
Using your social media presence.
Yes, using my social
and
media.
I would consider you a feminist because you look at tenets of feminism. A woman who knows her place, herself, asserts herself, stands for what is right, even against patriarchy. Because I don't think you when you push back, you don't spare anyone. So why would you oppose some tenets of feminism
Actually,
that you are fighting?
whatever brand of feminism we have right now in Kenya is not even feminism. The original feminism, that is, because feminism is not a bad thing. Yes, but whatever we have in Kenya is misplaced anger against some elements and wholesale condemnation of men, and that is not feminism. Yeah, so I'll not consider whatever we have in Kenya as feminism in the first place.
What if you're talking about empowering the girl child, standing for women, holding their place, and that? What kind of feminism do you propose? Like, are you a proponent of?
Okay, yeah, I'm a proponent of positive feminism, and that is the original version of feminism. That would mean having equal opportunities between all genders, male and female, because in Africa, females were not they're not getting the services equally as men, even in other sectors like education and employment. So putting them at par, that would be feminism for me, and providing like employment opportunities for both genders. Yes, not only females but even males. Because right now we have very strong females, and we've left out the male child. And some of these people who have that brand of feminism, the married people with sons, and you wonder. So my version of feminism would be the version that ensures an equal playground for both boys and girls, and opportunity for boys and girls, both in employment, in health, in everything. Yeah? Yes, but not whatever we have right now is a system that is trying to elevate the girl child more than the boy child, which is not fair. All these are our children, and we need them both. Yes, so you cannot elevate. They are brothers and sisters, and you cannot subjugate the men folk by now trying to elevate the women folk. It cannot work. We need a balance between the two, and we need opportunities for both. Yes.
And that will get a bit of pushback from feminists.
Yes.
That position, and you've gotten a lot of pushback.
I have a lot
on Facebook,
yes.
where you have a huge presence. How do you deal with that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so we have to keep on talking. Sometimes I'm not very kind with my words, but we have to get the point across. We cannot subjugate men folk, and that will not elevate us as women. I'm a woman. I'm not as disadvantaged as some women folk. I've had the chance to.
That's actually why I consider you a feminist.
Yes, yeah. I've worked with some communities. Like I also have patients in Garissa. I see patients in Garissa, and there's actually a huge gap, even in access to health of the females there, and it's an issue. But I will not refuse for the men to come to hospital or make them a bit lower than the females to make sure that you raise the female. What you need is to identify where these females have issues and elevate them wherever you think you are. And for example, let's say like in the nomadic communities, you cannot just wake up and go and empower them by making speeches about feminism. The households in the culturally in the nomadic societies is led by men. You need to empower these men. You need to educate these men. What I discovered about, especially about like whatever I'm doing, the maternal care, we have women who have conditions like hypertension in pregnancy. So for you to reach to the level where you want to help these women, you must pass through their men. You cannot just wake up and say you want to empower the women in the pastoralist communities. You will need to empower their men. You need
Because
to
of the
sit
structure.
down. Because of the structure. Yes, yes. So you cannot just wake up and decide that you want to just empower the females. What I was saying, like even my patients in Mwingi now, I discovered you try and explain some conditions like hypertension in pregnancy kills women and babies. So you try and explain this to the woman, but this woman is not economically well off. So hata ukimwambia how dangerous that disease is and she's not able to buy the drugs, what is she going to do? Not going to do anything. So what I did, I even used to get the telephone contacts of the spouses, the husbands, and I call them and I explain. I tell the man, this is what is happening. If this woman does not take this medicine, she's going to get a stillbirth or you're going to lose her. And now sometimes I even invite the men to come over with their spouses and I explain to them both. And that has had a very good outcome because these men have seen, they actually see the need to give this woman money. And by so doing, we have helped save these mothers. So we must rope in the man if we want to help these women. Yes.
You must contextualize.
You must. And for you to help any community, you must know whatever is happening on the ground. Yes. You can't just wake up and say you want to give free pads. Yes.
Because basically, you talk about the family, the nuclear family unit being the basic unit of a society.
Yes.
So when you're taking care of both the man and the woman, you're actually taking care of society.
Of the nuclear unit. And that's the only way we can do this. Yes. Health-wise, even political-wise. Yes.
So what do you say to those who feel like, men, because of patriarchy, which is a very nasty thing, that men don't need to be taken care of they've already had it good for a long time. Yeah.
No, that's not the case. And it should not happen. We need each other. We really need each other. And the family unit is at a threat right now. For example, if a female thinks she's earning enough money, she thinks she does not need a man in her life. Unfortunately, these are sometimes these women have kids. So you're making decisions on behalf of your kids. And personally, you were raised by both parents. But now you want to say just because you have money, you can raise this kid alone. But that's not how it should be. If we're not willing to do the right thing, at least let's go back to our values as Africans. We need that nuclear family. And the family unit is the basic unit of any community. We need it. Yes.
We don't have the extended family as we used to have. And there are women who would argue that they've been able to take care of their kids, and especially boys, and they brought them up. And I don't need a man to bring up a child.
Yes.
And you're a single mother.
Yes. So I believe a kid needs both parents. All kids need both parents. Yeah, and especially not even boys, even girls. Because girls are very needy and they also need their fathers. Yeah. You'd find that we're bringing up kids who have issues. Yeah. And some of those issues crop up from the type of parents we are ourselves. And we're very selfish in that we're trying to keep our kids away from the other parent. So if you have issues, maybe you can co-parent. But kids, I believe all kids need both parents.
Yeah, co-parenting is it's now quite much in our vocabulary.
It is.
Unlike
It
before.
is. Unlike before, it is. But even I believe much better is even having both parents under one roof. Yeah, because now sometimes even when you look the reasons why people are separating, very trivial reasons. Yeah, and there's so much pressure, which is not even needed. We need the basic family unit. Yes. I know there are some circumstances where it's not possible, but we should strive. The moment you have decided you want to get a child, you should also make those sacrifices for that child. Yes.
You should be ready for
Yes.
to sacrifice.
Yes.
Including relationship wise.
Yes, you should.
Not having it's not always my way or the highway.
Yes. Should sit down and negotiate. Yes.
So chairman,
Yes.
why like did men feel like you are on their side and so they called you chairman, or what was it?
Yes, they actually did. Because like I would oppose some of those views by the feminists, which I found to be very outrageous. Some of them are very outrageous. And if you look, some of these feminists are very young girls. These are girls who've not even been exposed to marriage or giving birth or even life. They're very young, under 20. And they have very large followership and people are following them blindly. Somebody just wakes up in the morning, puts up a very outrageous posts about men, and people they are liking and doing all that and contributing. And I consider that very vile. We have very balanced women, even on social media. But people will not follow those people. They'll want to follow these others.
The controversial
Because
ones. That's actually how social media is designed.
Yes, that's how for clout and all that. Yeah, and we need a balance. And when I came out now opposing these views, that's how men now thought I was on their side.
You're on their side.
Yes,
you are our chairman.
I became the chairman. But even them, I still offer balanced opinions.
Yeah, because I think when you punch
both sides
regardless
of gender.
Of gender.
Yes.
What you can't stand is puss.
Kabisa. 100%.
So how do you, as a woman, as a clinician, someone who works for the government, where do you get that courage to be so open? Because I think you speak plainly and openly about the issues you care about, the issues you advocate for. Where does that courage come from?
The courage comes from my everyday events that happen around me. Yeah. Because you look at the lives, sometimes when we go for those outreaches, there's a time we had an outreach. We were going to primary schools, and you'd find a 2-roomed mud structure was the primary school, serving a very big area. And that school, some of these schools didn't even have TSC teachers. Unapata headmaster peke yake ndio TSC, wengine ni wanaandikwa na board. And this kid supposed to have the same, to sit for the same exam with a kid in a school with infrastructure and teachers. So I see that every day. I also see patients being told to go home and die because they cannot afford medicine, they cannot afford treatment. Looking at something like cancer, we don't have a cancer center in Kitui, although they are saying they're going to build one. For the longest time, we've been referring patients to Kenyatta and this KU referral, and especially Kenyatta even before the KU referral.
But why does that happen?
Imagine, even from Marsabit, they expected to come to.
Oh, that is,
yes,
ambulances transporting
to Kenyatta. Yeah, and how many patients will even afford the transport? They will not. I had a patient I was seeing some time back with blood of the cancer of the bladder, and he needed a surgery and chemo. So the guy was raising the transport plus the price. Sababu alikuwa ameambiwa the entire price for the entire package. So the guy raised the money. But now when they got to Kenyatta, they had to do some investigations, which is a must. Before they start chemo, you have to do some investigations. So the guy had not factored in those. Pesa yenye alikuwa amechangisha ikakuwa less. That guy had done harambe back at home. There's no way you're going to get any extra money. So what does that guy do? He comes back home. So he came back home to die. Yes. And during those last days, I used to see him. And it was very bad. You know this patient is dying and there's nothing you can do.
Something that could have been treated.
Something would have been treated. Yes. And also the queue in Kenyatta is quite long. Some of them will have the resources, watakuwa wamechangisha hiyo pesa, but they cannot access the treatment. So some of those things make me really feel bad. And I believe I cannot keep quiet. Yeah, even if we feel threatened sometimes, people die daily out of misgovernance. So what's the worst that can happen?
What is the worst that can happen?
Yes.
Wow, that's a powerful question.
Yes.
I mean, and the way you ask it with so much confidence, but such a a low voice. You speak with a very low voice. What is the worst that can happen? What do Kenyans need to do to address some of these issues? People are dying out of treatable diseases because of government not investing in education system, in healthcare. What can we do?
People need to make the right decisions, and it starts at the ballot. People need to make the right decisions at the ballot. We know, and we have choices at the ballot. And that's where it all starts. Even at the county level, sub-county, uko kote, we need to elect leaders who will be accountable. Yeah. And I always make a joke where there's an uncle of mine who asked me, hiyo pesa inakuliwa unashindanga ukiteta kwa nini yako?
Ni yako ama ni mama yako?
Ni yako ama ni mama yako, yeah? And that is the mentality Kenyans have. So a lot of civic education is needed. Yes, because some of these our people do not even know what government is supposed, the role of government.
Actually, that's political education. Yeah, civic education imefanywa katiba inasema hivi. This is the law. But political education is the one that tells you this is the role of government
this is the right.
in your life.
So that's what they don't have, and really need to educate them. And that's why I use even my page to do that. We rub, there's a lot of friction sometimes by pro-government, but we'll still continue. Because I hope that whatever we post, someone reads and gets educated, and next time they're at the ballot, they'll vote wisely. Yes.
Have you faced pushback at your workplace or as someone who works for the government because of your voice?
Actually, I haven't, but I try to remain very apolitical in my workplace because, like in such a place.
Okay, I mean, when you talk on Facebook, and you talk about, you criticize that lack of service, and especially in the field you're in the health, that is political.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I have in some instance, like you'd get some calls, like bring down that post. There's a time I think I made some posts some years back. I think there's a child who came with issues. The kid was not attended on time, and things were not good. So I made a post about it. It became terrible, but I refused to bring it down because negligence remains negligence, and it won't change. Yeah, and
whether you take the post down,
whether I take it or not, it means it was negligence, and that's also an area I'm very much interested in. Like the negligence in the health sector in Kenya is quite huge, and Kenyans need to know their rights. Yes,
I've walked into hospitals, and you see the healthcare staff. They're less bothered. Whether there's somebody lying there from an accident, or a woman groaning there, or a man. Is it like we become desensitized, or our healthcare staff maybe because of lack of facilities and that kind of thing, to the point where you tell somebody to go home and die. What's your take on that?
I think you said it. Our health staff actually become desensitized by seeing so much trauma, bad things. Like there's some things you cannot prevent. You want to help a patient, but you cannot. But in the end, they're actually overdoing it. The desensitization has become even more to a point that they're not even feeling.
Are they traumatized?
Yeah, they are. Because like for a health worker, every time we lose a patient, you carry that trauma with you. Whether it is your fault or not, that is not something you can get off your system. So like for Western countries, for you to renew your license, you must have gone for some minimum hours of therapy.
Do you guys have a license?
Yes, we do. So when you renew your license, you're supposed to have undergone a minimum amount of therapy.
How often do you renew
the license? Every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
Yes. Yeah, like for Western countries, that's what they do. But for us, it's not there. And actually, I've seen even health workers, most of them have mental issues arising from the environment and the trauma they were faced. And they also
so who's taking care of the caregivers?
Nobody. It's them to take care of themselves. It's up to you. Ukiona umepata burnout, you walk to a therapist, but the government will not facilitate that, or your worker. Yes.
Wow. Are you advocating for that?
I am, very much. Because we've seen, actually there's a rise of mental illness amongst health workers. Yes, a lot of it, especially depression. And some of them are even on follow-up for mental illness, which are things which would have been solved earlier.
So you have unhealthy people taking care of unhealthy people.
Yes. And that's also an issue.
So that is at the work level, not so much pushback, at least here. But on Facebook, you do get a lot of pushback.
A lot of it.
And especially from men.
Yes.
Again, the same ones who call you chairman.
Yes.
Because our culture kind of does not entertain a vocal woman.
Yes.
A woman who speaks her mind, speaks back at men.
Yes.
How do you handle that?
Sometimes some of them address me like a man, like they don't believe that a woman can be talking such. They think it's a pseudo, it's a man. And sometimes when I've not put a profile picture, they actually address me as a man because they don't expect a woman to be talking like that. But as a woman and as women, I believe we carry this nation on our back, and we should be involved in the politics. Yes, very much. And it's not a main issue. And when I say it's not a men's issue, I do not mean having flower girls in parliament in the name of women representatives. Those are not helping in any way. Yes, those flower girls do not help us at all. We need women who can analyze the political situation in the country, speak about it, and act on it. Because in the end, if anything happens, ikisema kana ni kutoroka, it's us who are going to carry those kids.
And the women and kids are the ones who bear the brunt.
Who bear the brunt, even of misgovernance. Saizi, when you're actually right now, food is very expensive. It's the kid will run to the woman. Watakimbilia mama yao wanting the food. So women, you don't see hata pale kwa stage ukisimama. When men are there in the morning reading the newspapers, you'll not see women standing there reading the newspaper. Because for them, politics is a man's issue. It is not. We bear the brunt and we should be actively involved. Yes.
So ordinary women should get involved in
politics. They should get involved in politics. Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's powerful.
Yes.
And so you get this pushback, but I'm sure also ukiingia inbox kuna watu wanakukatia. Because there are men who like strong women also. Does that happen? And I know that because this platform called Wanjiko Revolution.
Yes.
And people thought it was a woman. And they would,
yes, they're there. Wako.
How do they pitch?
They try. Mtu anakuja hapo na philosophy yake yote. A 15th century history. Yes, they try, but wananiogopa, they fear me.
Wanakuja na heshima.
Wanakuja na adabu yote. Yeah.
And I think the reason why this is important is that a lot of women who have tried to advocate for issues on social media have really faced backlash.
Yes.
I know many who have left social media totally. So how do you keep going? And you know that balance of humor, I know you're always sharing funny stuff, but also the fact that you have the grit to keep going. What makes you keep going?
Yeah, sometimes it's not easy. Like you get to talk of some issues. Well, no, this is black and white, but somebody's trying to make it look like gray. You know, it takes a toll on you sometimes. Like trying to convince somebody this is black, this is not white. It takes a toll on me. But
and there are people who are paid to come there
and say that
it is white.
Yes.
Although it's black.
Yes. So I just get to understand them and their point at which they're arguing. There are some people who previously would say this is black. Na saizi, after the change of regime, they have changed the tune. So, you know, some people are there for the money. So that one does not bother me. But I look at the bigger picture. This country needs us. Even now more than before. Yeah.
And unalipa na nani?
Why
do you do all that?
That's why I'm able to punch both ways because I'm not being paid by anybody. Ningekuwa nalipo, ningekuwa naongea at a certain.
Because some Kenyans seem to think that you only have a voice if you are paid.
Yes. No. Yeah, we want a better future. We don't have any other country to go home to. So this is our country. I have a kid. I want this kid to have a future in this country. Si ati nimpeleke sijui wapi, sijui Canada wapi. I want them to grow here. This is their home. And we owe it. And people fought for us. Why shouldn't we fight for this country also? Yes.
So how do you what would you advise to those people who are just distractors? So they come there to try and divert conversations. People are not happy with people who speak truth to power.
They're not.
Yeah. So what kind of call do you have for the rest of Kenyans around this, especially on social media?
Okay. I'll tell them to actually this country is bigger than us. And whatever you do, there's a payback. Yeah. Even if you're not religious, there's a payback for your choices. And there'll be consequences in the future. So you cannot be paid just little money to defend a regime that is out there to destroy the lives of Kenyans. And just think that you're going to go scot-free. You'll pay. And even your conscience, as a human being, you have a conscience. Please follow your conscience and speak the truth. You'd rather even keep quiet than lie in broad daylight in defense of dictatorship or systems that are there to trample on the poor. Yes.
So if I became president and Madina was my health minister, what changes would you make in this country around the healthcare system?
Okay. That would mean we'd have to do a baseline survey to see the problems of each region and address them. But there's a lot of inequality in health right now in Kenya. For example, we have Gatundu, which was elevated to a level 6, I think. It has all the facilities that are there in Kenyatta. And it's just a few kilometers from Kenyatta. Why wasn't this hospital taken to Lodwar or Marsabit instead of here in Gatundu? You see? The inequalities. That's why you have ambulances on Thika Road coming from the north. And most of these patients don't make it to Nairobi. So we need to decentralize. And I know people are saying about devolution. Devolution should have helped health in a big way, but it is not. Because we devolved nepotism, we devolved corruption. And most of these governors, even from the northern counties, so much geared into enriching themselves and helping the common. And another thing, human resource, their health, it needs to be centralized again because we're having issues at the counties. Even handling health, the counties are not capable.
It's like, what do you mean by human resource for health? So doctors, nurses, whatever should be...
They should have a center point of, because there's
The
so
Ministry
much.
of Health?
Yes. Because you find like even in the appointments, like the after devolution, most appointments are just tribal, even in the counties. Utapata, somebody who did not even finish the internship, but they have the correct surname, is employed and is even promoted, and they don't have even the papers and the experience for those posts, and that just makes it even worse. We were in HDU as a country, now we're in ICU. Health is doing so badly.
Health-wise?
Yes, health-wise, yes.
And you know, so for me, that's always a conflicting conversation, because part of the reason why health was devolved, I think, is what you pointed out to when you talked about a baseline survey, is that the needs in different places, health needs in different counties, they vary. And I think there was a feeling by the framers of the Constitution that that decision in terms of what to focus on should be made at the county level. And then policy done at the national level. So that, and I think that was what devolution was meant to achieve, but you're saying it did not work.
It did not work. I think we need to go back to the drawing table as far as health is concerned. Devolution should have helped. Yeah, very much in health, because each county gets their own money, and if it's equipping their hospitals, they should have equipped their hospitals, but it's not happening. That means there's a very huge gap somewhere else, and the price is too high. People are losing lives.
Should we then talk about maybe holding those county governments to account rather than centralizing health?
I
Yes,
think,
I thought.
yes, that has been attempted, and so far it has not succeeded. I think the problem we also have is we're having non-professionals running health in the counties. They are not technocrats running health in the counties. Unapata a former DO, just because he's politically correct, he's the one put in charge of health, doesn't know anything in health. What will he do? And this is the person overseeing doctors and consultants in hospitals, and is somebody who's not in health. Maybe we need a strict framework that will guide health in the counties. If not, let it go back to the national
I guess
level.
that's from the national level, where you have people from different professions heading certain ministries instead of where their career falls. Naturally you'd expect the Ministry of Health to be
run by
to have a CS who's a medical practitioner who has experience in the medical field. Or you'd expect Ministry of Roads to have an engineer in charge. A road engineer in charge. So I guess that's the same.
It's a national problem.
It's about the name, your last name, most probably.
Yes,
most of the
about your surname.
Yeah, your surname, and what a ministry is a cash cow for the national government. So,
yeah, true.
And the health ministry is the most problematic.
It is, because it gets a lot of money.
Yeah,
there's a lot of funding in health. Yeah. So even for the counties to release it to the national, I think it's going to be a problem because there's a lot of funding in health.
So that's the cash cow for the corrupt governors.
Yes.
Do you have that problem in Kitui, where I hear county like Wajir, for every position you have 3 people?
Yeah.
Because because kila mtu analeta mtu wake
kabisa. Kabisa.
Do you have such issues
in the former government? Yeah, Angelu. We had very many non-professionals in the hospitals.
Why? Though she's a nurse, she's a health professional.
She
initially she was a nurse.
She was even in the Ministry of Health initially. Yeah, but politics, like she brought her own people, like just employ people blindly. You'd find that in the hospital we'd have more procurement people than even doctors and nurses. So procurement, you don't need the papers and you don't need a license. So clerks, pata wasichana wamejana high heels kwa corridor.
Si watu wanafanya degrees za clerical degrees to do procurement.
Kabisa. So they wamejaa hapo, but you don't have enough doctors. But the current has been trying to bring down, even the wage bill was quite huge. I think because of those things that Kaluki did. Yeah, so they are trying, but in the overall the management, at least Malombe is trying. They are professionals right now. We have professionals running the county.
So there'll be hope if Madina was the Minister for Health, because we do a baseline survey to identify needs
Definitely.
of each places, and then decentralize some bits of it, especially the HR. What other solutions would you have
for the health? We need primary health. Yeah.
What do you mean by primary health?
By primary health, I need preventive health. Preventive health. Because the problem we've had, a country like Uganda is very successful in its health because it has invested so much in primary health. A woman in rural Soroti knows how to treat water and knows how to prevent disease at the grassroots level compared to a Kenyan. So we don't do so much preventive health in Kenya as opposed to other countries. Even Cuba has been very successful because of the preventive medicine. They prevent, it's actually cheaper even for the country to prevent disease than to treat. But in Kenya, that's not the case.
Why do you think that is the case? Because that conversation, I've had it for a long time, over 20, 30 years. Let's focus on primary health. Why is it not?
I think that there's no political will.
Ama hakuna tenda ya primary health.
Hakuna tenda ya primary health care.
Tenda ni ya kusupply ma machine.
Yes, kabisa. Them supplying an MRI machine gives more kickbacks than them training people at the grassroots about malaria, about typhoid. Yeah, so I think there's no political will.
And I think one of the other countries that has such non-caring healthcare system is the US, whereby what are called the big pharma, the drug manufacturers, basically work very hard and lobby and spend a lot of money to try and make sure that there's no preventive healthcare.
Yes.
Because they want people to get sick.
Kabisa.
So they can sell medicine. And I think it's the same. I don't know. This is the same thing here.
It is actually. Because Kenya is actually, I think, the US of Africa. Like we try so much to be like US and we are almost like the US in most of our things we do here. Because big pharma even in Kenya is quite advanced. And they are, they're doing their stuff. Like you'd find, even outside the medicine, Monsanto is making its inroads even in the rural areas in Kenya. And there's no education to the farmers. And that's actually, that's a problem we're going to have in future because of Monsanto. Why is Monsanto being banned in other countries? Yes, the chemicals they are selling. These chemicals are banned elsewhere. Why are we using them in Kenya? Yeah. And I found out even recently that even Mira farmers are spraying very bad pesticides.
Why are they using
pesticides? Wanatumia pesticides. And there was a conversation somewhere, they were even spraying Marathion. You know Marathion? Yeah, bed bugs.
The one that was banned.
That one that was banned. So what happens when people, and Mira ipikwi, they eat them raw. So what happens? That's how we'll get cancer of the esophagus and cancer of the stomach. Yeah, so we need prevention. And sometimes even when these farmers are using these pesticides, sometimes they're advised on how to clothe. They don't use protective gear. Yeah, a place like Nyeri, I think it was the leading in cancer of the esophagus.
Nyeri?
Yes, Nyeri County. It led in the cases of cancer of the esophagus, and this is due to the herbicides they used and the pesticides they used.
Wow.
And most of the victims were women because it's the women who work in the farms. Yes.
So what are they farming there? What is?
They're spraying the tea and the coffee.
Oh, okay.
The tea and the coffee. And now that research was done and that paper was presented. But what was done? There was no dissemination of the results to the people. So inatusaidia nini? We're not even preventing the cancer. And the numbers keep on growing. So preventive health, primary health in Kenya is non-existent almost. And that's where we should be concentrating our efforts on. Yes.
And the other thing is sugar. Processed sugar in a lot of our foodstuffs.
Yes.
And it's even also contributor to cancer, diabetes, hypertension.
Kabisa. It is.
Why is there no concerted effort to educate people around these issues?
It is not. There's no political will. That's what I'd say. Because if the government wanted, and the government knows, these research papers gather dust in the universities, in Cambridge. Cambridge has done a lot of research on these areas, but the implementation is not there. Yes.
Are you using your platform to highlight some of these?
Yes, I am. I try my best. I try my best to try and highlight this, especially the preventive medicine. But we need more. We need more, because even my reach is not as big as I wish it could be. Yeah, we need more, and we need more people to advance this. Yes.
What can now Kenyans do to try and if a government will not work for us, what can we do?
I think we should come together as people and help ourselves. Yeah.
How would that look like?
Now, like-minded people like you and me, we know what we want for this country. We know where the areas of weaknesses are and where there's most impact. So we can sit down and draw a plan and create alternatives to government that can help us reach out to our people. Yes.
And I guess that's part of the reason this platform exists,
Yes,
is to amplify some of the work. Ordinary, like I'd call ourselves ordinary. I mean,
yes, we are.
I don't know who the extraordinaries are, because I think you're quite extraordinary. But there are those, like if you read the Animal Farm, there are those who are more
ordinary than others. Yes.
And I really support that idea. That's why the Utu Na Uzalendo podcasts exists. How do we, Kenyans are quite indignified. I think even the people you're describing, your patients in Kitui and elsewhere, that issue of someone being able to raise money for treatment, coming to Kenyatta, not being treated, and going home to die, that is indignity. It's not Utu.
It is not.
How do we start mainstreaming? And most probably, only you cared. Maybe others did not give a damn about it. How do we start mainstreaming Utu, caring for each other and each other's? Because I believe that's how you're going to finally liberate ourselves.
Yes.
As Kenyans.
Kabisa. We need to start treating each other like human beings, because right now as a country we're doing very badly. Even not between the government and us, between Kenyans ourselves. Because the doctor you'll find in the wards is not, at that point, is not the government, it's a human being. It's a Kenyan like you. And there's a way we're supposed to handle each other. When it starts raining and the touts increase the fare, hiyo ni kukosa utu. Yeah? When people hoard food to wait for the prices to go up for you to sell to people, hiyo ni kosa utu. So we need to go back to the drawing boards and reclaim our utu. We need it very badly. I think that will solve half of our problems. Yes.
If we start caring for each other.
Yes. Because if you cared for another human being, you will not, even corruption, you would not steal money that is meant for health or to repair a road, because you care about the person who's going to use that road. You care about that person who's going to get those services from that hospital. Yes.
And so how do we start then mainstreaming a leadership? Because a lot of the good people, the extraordinary people like yourself, have stayed away from politics. How do we make politics sexy for because we can't blame Kenyans because the characters you see
in politics
are quite undesirable.
Yes.
How do we make politics palatable to the servant leaders, let's say?
I'd say starting from the process, the politics right now in Kenya are ugly. They're tribal, and there's so much underhandedness going on in the political scene. Yeah. But if we were to set things straight and cleanse our politics. I mean, they'd be at least appealing. I have not thought, give it a thought.
I know, and I know I've put you on the spot.
Yes. I've not thought about getting into politics. But where I am right now, I intend to make quite an impact, even in inciting other people to take the political seats and make a change for this country.
So someone can make a change wherever they are.
You can, yes. Like personally, I believe any patient that goes through my hands comes out more educated politically. Sometimes we even talk politics, yes. And health-wise, if a patient comes to me with a diagnosis that is preventable, I make sure that they know, and I will not see them again because they'll know what to do to avoid from coming back to the hospital.
You don't want to keep them coming to hospital.
I know. I don't. Yeah. So you teach them how to be, how to take care of themselves. So I believe wherever I am, I'm making an impact. But obviously we need more.
So we need more of you. You need to mainstream this kind of...
yes.
And part of the Uzalendo Halisi Foundation mandate is to mainstream some of this good by telling your story, telling other people's story, to show that despite, this is how I put it, if I go into my phone and I look at 100 random contacts, I will not find, the chances of finding a crooked person or a thief or whatever are very few. And I'm sure that's for majority of 52 million Kenyans. Yet we have this narrative that Kenyans are this, they are corrupt, that kind of thing, just because of a few people who are in politics and business who have monopolized our airtime.
Yeah.
And I think this platform gives us an opportunity to showcase the majority, actually, because you, Madina, working in Mwingi, someone else working across the country, across Kenya, there are people who are doing their bit wherever they are. So the only thing we don't have is coming together. So how would we come together and build that power to be able to actually mainstream the work that you're doing and the work that others are doing?
Okay. So I believe actually this forum is actually a very noble idea. Yeah, when you told me about it, I was very happy. And I believe we are going in the right direction. So it starts by talking to each other, whatever we're doing right here. That's how we come up with the ideas, and that's how we rope in other people. So we are doing, I believe we've started climbing the stairs, and we'll get to that. Yes, but we're heading the right way. Yes, this is a very noble idea.
So people should not lose hope.
They should not.
Yes.
Yes. We are more than the political elites. Yeah. So I believe we can achieve this. The political elites are very few compared to the ordinary Kenyans. Yeah, and we are most affected by misgovernance. So why shouldn't we act?
Madina, you have a 10-year-old daughter.
Yes, I do.
In 8 years, she'll be a voter. And there are many, we say the majority of this country is actually very young, not even youth, it's kids. How do we interest the kids as parents, as uncles, aunties, fathers, mothers, to start mainstreaming that citizen that we want for the future in this country where people are almost giving up about leadership?
I think it starts by education. We need to be talking to our children. And I talk to my daughter. Yes. I talk to her about this country, not the complicated stuff. I show her the relationship between her and government, us and government. So I've started the political education quite early. She knows what is expected of her as a citizen and what the government should act as the government of the day. Issues like tribalism, she knows my stand. And at a class, akiulizwa kabila, she says she's a Kenyan because that's what I've taught her. Yeah. So it starts early. And the problem we also have in this country is that the education syllabus that our children are having in school is quite not helping at all. It ensures that slavery,
the wage slavery. That
yes. It ensures that, and we also need to go to the drawing board, as one day Njua says. The education plays a very big role in shaping the future of our kids. So we need a serious curriculum that will teach our kids how Utu, how to be themselves, because they have to be themselves for them to be good citizens, for us to have a good country, to have good leaders. It starts at the basic unit at the family level. So we need a good educational system. And as parents, before we even say kids, it's quite unfortunate that even most adults in Kenya are quite uneducated in matters politics. Yeah, some of us have gotten out of our way to teach ourselves. Hata si vitu tunasoma kwa syllabus. So you're a medic, you're an engineer, you need to get out of your way and learn the history of this country, the politics of this country.
The real history of this country.
History of this country. Because for you to know the deficiencies within a system, you must know how it works in the first place. Ndio juu hapa kuna makosa, you need to rectify it like this. So people need to learn, and people need to get educated outside classroom. And it starts with our kids, but also adults. Ndio wewe adult ufunze mtoto wako, you need to educate yourself first. So you need these spaces. This is a very noble space you've created. We need this for education. It starts with education. Yes.
The education system will not provide us with the knowledge that we need to liberate ourselves.
It will not. So, it ensures that we stay where we are right now. Unfortunately, and CBC has even made it worse. Yeah, the system is terrible.
It's interesting that CBC was actually designed by the British Council, our former colonialists.
Imagine. Yeah. How do you do that, and how do you implement it 100% within a very short time without input of educationists in the country? So that is also a huge problem brewing in this country. Yes.
So we are organizing politically. I'm part of a movement called Kongamano la Mapinduzi, which I'm sure maybe you've heard about. And part of that is actually asking those questions. We still don't have answers yet, but we are asking those questions loudly. The question you're asking, and you're asking Kenyans to come together, we think together and ask the questions together and look for solutions. Do you think we'll find solutions?
By fire, by force. We need to. These are our kids' futures.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to find solutions. Yes. We cannot just sit back.
Kuna watu wanasema, like you said, hii pesa si ya mama yako, si ya nini.
Yeah.
Wacha politicians wakule, watamaliza 5 years.
Wengine waingie. Hapana. Yeah, no, time is, life is time, the time we have on earth. And if you waste a year, 5 years, you're wasting your life. You're wasting your kid's life. So why should we wait for 5 years? These are things which should be interrogated today, and we should sit down today and deal with it today. We cannot waste time in the name of waiting for another 5 years for another government. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Madina. Thank you for making time, coming all the way from Mwingi to have this conversation.
Thank you very much.
You've honored the Utu Na Uzalendo podcast, and we hope to continue these conversations. This is just the beginning. I know there'll be many other opportunities. Asante sana.
Asante sana Mutemi for the invite. I'm honored greatly.